MS-13 once and for all. We have a great country. I want to keep it that way.
Republicans getting ready for a busy week in Washington. Immigration is front and center. The president is going to meet with House Republicans.
You've got family separation, a policy that has gone on previous administrations.
If you do not want to be separated, do not cross the border illegally. Follow our laws, follow the process.
FBI Director Wray, as well as Inspector General Michael Horowitz, testifying tomorrow before Senator Grass's Judiciary Committee. Will anyone actually be prosecuted?
Comey's been fired. Deputy Director McCabe fired. Why is Peter Strzok still there?
Governor, quick, have you heard from a particular press secretary on this Father's Day?
I'm sure I will.
She's busy. And it's the final round of the U.S. Open, teeing off in just hours. And round 3, Dustin Johnson stumbling into a 4-way tie, but everybody is talking about this.
Phil Mickelson, he took a shot, the ball started rolling.
Whoa.
He hit it back while it was still going.
Whoa.
Feel like I'm working overtime on a runaway train. I got to bust loose from this ball and chain. I'm a
Sing it, Pete.
hard-working man.
It's a good one.
Got it all on the line for a piece of the promised land.
This is real country music right here.
And that's real man food.
That's a real piece of meat out there on them rails.
That's
right. That's one of my rules. One of my rules.
Chef Billy, one of our
already
favorites
there.
at Delmonico's. He's serving up some steaks, of course, because as Griff mentioned, if you missed the show early on, Griff takes Father's Day extremely seriously. He doesn't just enjoy it, he has rules for it.
Yes, and actually, my wife, Kathleen, was texting me from Washington saying, good morning, happy Father's Day. I said, hey, good morning, did you see my rules? She said, no, what are they? So stay tuned, honey, and make sure that the children are watching. We may get to it again, but one of them was steak, and you just saw that. It's on the grill.
The other one includes imbibing in the good American beer.
We
Maybe.
shall see.
We'll bring it.
We shall
We'll see. We'll bring it up.
We're going to bring it up again because your wife and your kids need to hear it. They need to know. And they need to deliver on at least one of them.
They do.
But we've been asking you to send us in your photos because happy Father's Day to all the amazing dads out there, including both of you, who are both fabulous fathers. And you guys have been sending in your photos. This one comes in from Katie, pictured on top with her dad, and at a, where's this?
Duquesne.
Duquesne University graduation, and on the bottom, in the exact same spot, 10 years
cool.
later. Look at that.
And check out Dana and his son Jeff enjoying some Father's Day fishing in Colorado. Boy, that's fun. I remember fishing with my
Bonding
father many
time.
years ago in Colorado. It's a great time.
And 3 generations celebrating Father's Day. This is from James Jackson III, celebrating with his dad and his grandfather. Very cool. 3 generations.
Yeah. Keep sending them
James
our way.
Jacksons.
Friends at foxnews.com.
Yep, keep coming.
But we, of course, we're celebrating dads today, but there is a lot to talk about. And really the focus right now is immigration, because you are going to see early this week potentially a bill come to the floor on the House. That is what the president is hoping for. There are 2 that are being debated right now. Griff, you understand this better than all of us do.
Right,
You have a good lad bill, and you have one that Paul Ryan has been pushing forward.
Well, and you have the president meeting with Republicans on Tuesday afternoon to really hash out what is possible. And this comes at a time when there is so much emotion, as Pete says, over exaggerated rhetoric. But the president, we need to look at, the president has been saying from the beginning that this is what he's willing to do. This is a position he wants to take. This is a flashback of the president saying he wants to tackle this.
The children can be taken care of quickly, beautifully, and immediately. I hate to see separation of parents and children. They are here illegally. They shouldn't be very worried. I do have a big heart. We're going to take care of everybody. But you have some absolutely incredible kids. I would say mostly. They were brought here in such a way. It's a very, very tough subject. We are going to deal with DACA with heart. If we do this properly, DACA, you're not so far away from comprehensive immigration reform. And if you want to take it that further step, I'll take the heat. I don't care. My whole life has been heat. I like heat in a certain way.
Of course, he's been willing to take the heat. He's been willing to take the politically inconvenient stance that previous administrations have not been willing to take in order to address this issue. So the president has said, I want a wall. Build the wall. We'll address DACA. I want to help these kids. I think chain migration is stupid. I think the visa lottery doesn't make any sense. Let's get rid of those. But in the meantime, we're going to enforce the laws on the books. And it doesn't mean I want to separate kids from their parents. That happened, by the way, under previous administrations. We're just going to take a zero tolerance policy because if adults break the law, there needs to be consequences. And in the meantime, we're going to care very well temporarily, keyword, temporarily, for kids, oftentimes teenagers, who are temporarily separated from their parents. We're going to do well by them. We're going to give them accommodations. Then we'll reunite them after their parents, who broke the law, go through the legal process. It's not that hard to think through it.
You're making the point that President Trump is willing to put the optics aside, willing to put the negative headlines and the blame that he continues to get. He's been called a Nazi and everything else in the book on the way that this has been handled because of the zero tolerance policy. But he's been doing this, and you look back at the previous administration, just most recently Barack Obama, who dealt with the same challenges, actually a higher number of children that were coming over the border and put in these facilities. And if you read about it, he had a moment where he put a team together about this and said, how do we solve this problem?
Correct.
And there were a few moments where they talked about this zero tolerance policy.
They talked about it.
Separating these families.
Talked about it for a second.
But they then realized that the optics would be bad. It would be bad politics. The headlines would look terrible for Barack Obama. So now we're in the situation that we're still dealing with, and we've got to figure out a solution because no one wants to see children separated
You just
from
hit the
their
nail on the
families.
head because Trump is focused on solutions. Form your committees, have your policy talks, talk about your stuff. If you want to fix it, you've got a couple of options.
He's got
You
Congress,
either build
though.
a wall or you address it and create a disincentive for parents to break the law. Trump said, let's fix it. Okay, I'm going to do this. I mean, you know what I mean? I mean,
But he only has so much power, though, because he's now dealing with Congress, and they can't get their act together when it comes to
Don't miss the
immigration.
context, though, about the past administrations. This began in 1997 under Bill Clinton, and then it went to George W. Bush, who also found it too politically perilous. And then under the Obama administration, you had upwards of 25,000 children in these shelters, and there's about 10,000 now. But if you listen to a border Democrat like Henry Cuellar, this is what he said about the truth of what was going on under the Obama administration when they didn't choose to tackle this.
Large numbers of people coming in. The Obama administration was trying to keep this quiet, and it released some photos that I had gone about those young kids that were kept there. And we're still seeing numbers. And keep in mind, when they talk about putting some of the young kids in those centers, not all of them are being separated. Some of them are coming alone. It's not a matter that every single child that we have in those centers are being separated, because some of them are coming alone.
So we need to find a solution. The president is saying that as well. But the rhetoric has also gotten out of hand. I mean, I heard a host the other day comparing the Trump administration to MS-13 gang members, the way they're handling this. They've talked about comparing it to concentration camps, as I said earlier, calling people Nazis. I mean, we don't want to get to this place because that distracts from the actual conversation that does need to be had about how we do fix our immigration system and how we handle things at the border and how we make sure that we give people that want to come here the right way, give them that opportunity and give them that pathway.
And the optics, we knew there would be difficult optics. The president talked about not even liking to see this, but the comparison, former CIA director General Michael Hayden tweeting a picture, I believe that's Auschwitz, of a concentration camp, over 1 million Jews who broke no laws but were persecuted to the greatest extent the planet has ever seen, saying other governments have separated mothers and children. That is absolutely categorically a inappropriate comparison.
That is a concentration camp where 1.1 million Jews were gassed to death. Our government has a policy where they're going to temporarily separate lawbreakers from their kids who knew what they were doing when they crossed the border. And you make that comparison. Michael Hayden, you know better. Either he was not as smart as we thought he was as the CIA director, or he's a total partisan. I mean, one or the other. I mean, you're not making a fair, genuine argument. You're throwing toxin into the water and then hoping the debate gets better. I absolutely don't understand This is an opinion show. I give my opinions every day. When's the last time you compare Barack Obama to a Nazi or the Democrats to running concentration camps? The hyperbole is out of control in order to have a discussion about this president because they hate him so much.
Stay tuned because we have Chairman Bob Goodlatte coming up a little bit later on this show, and he's going to weigh into this difficult immigration debate.
All right, send us your thoughts, friends at foxnews.com. To some other headlines that we have this morning. A candlelight vigil set for tonight to remember two fallen deputies, Teresa King and Patrick Rohr. See them right there, shot and killed outside a Kansas City courthouse. King, a 13-year veteran of the department, was a mother of 3 kids. Rohr had served 7 years and was a father of 2. Investigators believe Antoine Fielder, seen right there, grabbed one of their guns as they escorted him into a robbery hearing. He was shot and is expected to survive. And one person is now in serious condition this morning after a taxi plows through a crowd during the World Cup. The driver suddenly accelerating onto a sidewalk while at a traffic light in Moscow. Bystanders ripping the door open, then chasing him across the street. Russian media claims that he is from Central Asia and accidentally hit the gas. 2 Mexicans, 1 Ukrainian, and 2 Russians were sent to the hospital. No word yet on if the driver will face any charges. And the final round of the U.S. Open teeing off in just hours, and it is anyone's game. Dustin Johnson stumbling into a 4-way tie for first place. Live coverage today on Fox, of course, beginning at 10 a.m. Eastern. Next hour, we will be joined by a Boston firefighter competing as an amateur. We're also going to hear from his dad, who, get this, is his caddy on Father's Day. How cute is that?
That's great.
Very cool.
Awesome.
Dads don't like to be called cute, though, Abby.
Cute?
Cute?
Yeah, I think do.
Griff, maybe they do. I don't know. Let us know. If you're a dad, do you want to be called cute on Father's Day?
What do they want to be called?
Well, is that one of your rules?
That's not.
Maybe strong, tough.
That's
maybe.
not one of my rules. But
what are your rules?
Kathleen, Madeline, and Mackenzie, please pay attention. These are my 5 rules of Father's Day. Number 1, beer, the patriarch's preferred beverage. It shall be served cold in abundance with a smile. Number 2, steak, the patriarch's preferred food. It shall be served grilled to perfection, also in abundance and without judgment. Number 3, the dog. This is the patriarch's preferred companion. He shall be pampered, and number 2 shall apply to him as well.
What about number 1?
This one, no beer for him. Number 4, immunity. All profanity, burping, and general idiotic utterances from father shall be permitted without reservation. And number 5, in case you were not paying attention, see number 1s through 4. They're simple.
Griff, I love people who take things seriously because they love it, and you have nailed Father's Day.
To a whole other
5
level.
rules.
He's a father. He gets it. He's like, just let me boil it down for you.
One of those rules being grilled out on the patio. We saw all kinds of stuff.
Griff, look at your cute girls in those photos.
I know.
Oh,
I got to
my
tell
goodness.
you.
How fun.
What are their names again?
That is Madeline and Mackenzie. They're
Madeline
16 and
Mackenzie.
12. And boy, I'll tell you, the message of Father's Day really comes from the fathers. There's no greater honor, no greater experience in being a father.
Absolutely. Super
But you
cool.
know what? You deserve
Look at
to be
that.
spoiled today, Griff.
See, look, he's got his rules and he's also tearing up.
I know.
Because he's a sensitive guy.
Love that.
You know what it is? It's cute.
You're very cute, Griff, and you're a fabulous father. Oh, he gets emotional. You know what? There's no greater joy in life than being a parent. That's something that I can agree with as well. Everyone on this.
Well, and you know, it is the challenges, the traveling. I mean, you know, with this network, I've been in almost every war zone. I've been in every sort of instance, and that's what I do. This is what I love to do, and the opportunity Fox has given me. But that it's coming home to those girls.
Yeah.
We love you, Griff.
That's what counts.
And that's why you are the person you are, because you put your family
Good
first.
man.
All right, more to come on the show. Katie Pavlich.
I didn't expect
joins
that to
us
happen,
next.
by the way. All right.
You never know what to expect.
Katie Pavlich is coming on next. She can make fun of me and my socks.
The conclusions by department prosecutors were affected by bias or improper consideration.
It's deeply disturbing that the Republicans remain obsessed with undermining our intelligence and law enforcement agencies.
Well, Democrats focusing on the Inspector General's claim that bias had no impact on the FBI's Hillary Clinton probe. But our next guest says, not so fast. Fox News contributor and Town Hall editor Katie Pavlich joins us right now to explain.
Abby.
Good morning, Katie. Thanks for waking up so early for us.
Yeah, of course.
All right, so the finding from Michael Horowitz in this IG report He says there was not political bias when it came to James Comey's decision making. But you look at the big picture, right? The early days of this Russian investigation, just as one example where Peter Strzok was running that investigation. We have all read the tweets. We all know how he felt about then Donald Trump, candidate Donald Trump at the time. What are the big questions you think Republicans need to be asking in this hearing early next week?
Yeah, so tomorrow the Senate Judiciary Committee will hold a hearing with the Inspector General for the Department of Justice, Michael Horowitz, and they'll be asking a lot of questions about this question of bias. If you look through this 500-page report, as we have done, there are multiple examples of bias. And sure, the Inspector General, as these Democrats just pointed out, did say that there was no, quote, evidence to prove that this bias impacted decision-making when it came to the Clinton investigation. But if you read through and look at some more of the details, when it comes to specific agents like Peter Strzok, for example, they also say that they did not trust his judgment in handling the Anthony Weiner laptop situation because of all of the biased text messages he had sent. And one big question here, too, is let's not forget, this was about the Hillary Clinton investigation. This was not about the Russia investigation. We're still waiting on a report for that. But when it comes to questions about how this process went forward and investigators asking questions of Clinton campaign staffers, Clinton in her inner circle, the real thing that this comes down to is, was there enough evidence found by the Inspector General that proved that Hillary Clinton should have been prosecuted for mishandling classified information? And I would say that the answer tomorrow is going to be yes.
And also, should there be consequences within the FBI? We heard from Christopher Wray after this report came out. He said that they're going to put forward some bias training within the FBI. By the way, who works within HR? Peter Strzok is still employed. He's still being paid by taxpayer money to work in the HR department. The irony, Katie.
Yeah, is Peter Strzok going to be writing the bias response? Are they going to have Peter Strzok on the bias response team to the bias response team kind of thing, as they do at college campuses across the country? But no, look, when it gets down to it, this is a very serious problem, whether it's the FBI being undisciplined and speaking to the press. Inspector General Horowitz produced this amazing chart showing all of the leaks and proving that FBI agents were getting favors like golf and meals and drinks out. I mean, that's a big problem. But the other issue, too, Abby, is we learned in this report that FBI Director James Comey was using a private Gmail account to conduct official FBI business. So the question, the follow-up question to that is, did he mishandle classified information on his private email account? And I think that tomorrow there'll be a lot of questions about whether that was the case. And then James Comey is going to be called in front, just like Peter Strzok will, in front of these committees, in front of Congress, to answer those questions on their own.
We will be watching it very closely. Katie Pavlich, always good to see you.
Good to see you, too.
Have a good Sunday. All right, coming up next, Corey Lewandowski and David Bossie. They are both here live on the president's immigration plan. Everyone is talking about what happens next. You're going to want to stick around for this.
For you, President Trump making his pick to lead a major government watchdog agency. He plans to nominate Kathy Kraninger to run the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. She's currently an associate director at the Office of Management and Budget, OMB. Democrats are expected to fight her confirmation following strict conservative reforms at the Bureau. And hundreds of Washington Post employees slamming liberal billionaire owner Jeff Bezos for not sharing the wealth. The Post Guild claiming in a petition they're not being paid enough despite increased digital subscriptions and online traffic. Bezos, of course, is also the founder and CEO of Amazon. We will follow that. Not spreading the wealth over there. All right, well, immigration showdown this week. President Trump heading to the Hill Tuesday to meet with House Republicans as two GOP bills head to the floor.
Here with a preview, former campaign managers Corey Lewandowski and David Bossie, who wrote the book on Trump being Trump. They join us to weigh in. Happy Father's Day to both of you. We want to get to that in a moment. But first, let's talk about immigration, because it is going to be a big week. And the president campaigned on being the negotiator in chief. Corey, do you think the president can get a deal done?
Well, look, of course the president's going to get a deal done, but he's not going to compromise what he talked about in the campaign. And there are some hallmarks of his administration that he has said he's willing to not negotiate on. Number one, you have to end sanctuary cities. Number two, you have to end this chain migration problem. Number three, and probably most importantly, you have to build a wall so that we continue to have a country which is protected from illegals crossing the border. Those things cannot be wavered on, and the president's been very clear. He's willing to look at the individual individuals who are in this country who came here either through no fault of their own or illegally, but we have to do something to prevent additional individuals from coming here and killing American citizens.
David, you've got a couple of competing bills. One seen as more strong, the other a little bit more moderate. What are the bright red lines? I mean, Corey alluded to it, but it's going to come down to some deal making here. What's going to come out of these?
Well, this president wants to get this problem solved. The Democrats, however, have offered no concrete steps to make this thing work and to get this bill passed. So he is putting his hand out across the aisle. And of course, the Democrats, who hate him more than anything, will not work with him. And that's the problem here, guys. We have a president who wants to solve this problem. We have Democrats who want to politicize it. And this president cannot go against what he ran against, whether it's fixing the broken lottery system or chain migration or funding the wall, without any trickery that the Democrats want to use.
But David, I'm going to jump in just quickly because it's not just the Democrats, it's also Republicans. You don't have enough votes, it seems, for either bill at this point. The Republicans aren't in control of the House. Obviously, they need some moderate votes, some Democratic votes in order to get things passed. But you can blame Republicans as well for not coming together on something as big as immigration.
Well, there's no question about it. I also wonder why we're doing this right now. There's always been, for the last 10 or 15 years, the immigration problem. But doing it as we're leaving for the summer is very questionable to me, and I wonder what the leadership is doing.
So Corey, you full well know when President walks into that meeting on Tuesday, those GOP members are going to say, we cannot sustain this. These images are too much. This is why 4 past presidents ignored it. Can the president win this gamble, and do you expect him to hold his ground?
Well, he can win, but the issue is he needs the House leadership to support him. And what we know unequivocally is they have not taken up this issue in a meaningful way until now. And look, the images are very powerful. And you've heard the president say he has a big heart, and he does. But he also has to have a zero-tolerance policy of allowing people to come to the country illegally. We are a nation of laws. And as soon as you step across that border illegally, you are doing a disservice to the individuals who come to this country legally. And what this president has said is, there is a way to come here. We will make it available to you. But crossing the border illegally is not that way.
Yeah, you remember the president gave Congress back in March. He said March is the deadline. We are now almost in July. So unbelievable. They just can't get their act together. Quickly, before you guys go, your dad advice. A big happy Father's Day to both of you. But David, you first. What's your advice today?
Oh, boy. You know what? First of all, I thank my wife every day because I'm able to be a good dad to my 4 kids. I have 3 girls and a boy. And it is only with a strong partner that I find it's the only way to move forward. But spending time, whether it's through sports or their music, it's been a great ride. I have 4 kids, 7 to 17. My oldest is in Austria on a high school exchange program. My son's at golf camp. So it's a wonderful thing to see these 4 kids grow up.
Very cool. Corey.
Look, my advice to my children is never quit, never give up, never listen if somebody tells you you can't do it. I'm so proud of you guys. I love you.
Very sweet, very sweet. Well, I'm proud of both of you because you didn't cry like I did.
No, Corey almost did. Corey, it's okay.
Corey was Griff, baby. Griff, me and you.
Corey and Griff, you know, it's right there, right in the heart.
It's so sweet and so genuine. You guys are great fathers.
Happy Father's Day to you both.
Happy
Appreciate
Father's
your time.
Day.
Thank you. You too.
I think a true man cries, Pete.
Okay.
I do.
I'm cool with that.
We're going to make Pete cry
really
on the show.
He's going to start crying now.
Not going to happen. All right. Well, you can keep trying, though.
I'm going to keep trying.
Okay.
We got some time.
All right. But from Jeopardy to jail, how a 7-time champion went from game show royalty to a prison sentence.
Yikes. And Dr. Gorka and Congressman Bob Goodlatte. That is next hour. You don't want to miss it.
And it's one of my Father's Day rules. We are cooking up a twist on Father's Day favorite with bacon-wrapped swordfish surf and turf. Yummy! That's coming up next.
Touch me like you do. Touch me.
They're wishing their dads a happy Father's Day this morning. Of course, we recognize her. That is a line producer, Sarah Sonic, with her dad, Steve.
That's a great pick.
Happy Father's Day.
Great, and this is producer Deanna Alloy's husband, Stephen, with their kids. Hey,
And
Stephen.
senior producer Stephanie Friedman with her dad, Will, and sister MK in beautiful Florida.
Very cool.
And, of course, a happy Father's Day to our own Pete Hegseth from your family.
Wow, those are. I mean, I have a wonderfully blended family. And
Whoa! They're all here.
There they are. Holy cow! Can you guys hear us?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that is my house today that I'm going back to. I'm so excited about it. This is a surprise. Gunnar, what are you guys doing right now? What are you doing this morning?
Well, we play downstairs video games.
Of course.
That's cool.
Hey, Gunnar, what do you love about your dad, Pete? Is he pretty cool?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's kind of cool. Hey, Jack,
Guys, what's your favorite thing to do with Dad? What's your favorite thing you want to do today with your dad, Pete?
Do sports. Basketball.
Basketball? We played wiffle ball yesterday. Jackson, who won the wiffle ball game yesterday?
Me.
They did, 7-6. Kenzie, were you my base runner, though, Kenzie?
I told you. Yes.
Yes, she was my base runner. Where's my Rexy? Rexy, can you show me in the back there? Can you show me your muscles, Rexy? Show me your muscles. Hey, Lukey, what do you have in your hand? Do you have a car in your hand, Luke? Luke, do you have a car in your hand? Luke's not paying attention.
What about Gwenny? Gwenny is front and center
Gwenny
there.
is front and center. Right in the bottom middle there is our little Gwenny. She's 10 months old yesterday.
Getting abused by the other kids.
Gwenny, you know what she likes to do? She likes to kiss like this.
Blow a kiss.
So we have a wonderfully blended family. I have 3. Jen has 3. We have one together, little Gwendolyn, and they get along amazingly, and we're having a fun summer. Should we play another wiffle ball game again today, guys?
All right.
Look at that. This is my day.
This is great.
They love each other. They don't listen generally, but they're wonderful kids.
And you know what? I love the bedhead.
And what's that list right there, Gunnar? Let me see. I can't see it. Put it on the camera. Meat menu: burgers, steak, and bacon and sausage.
Oh, and beer. And beer's in there.
Oh my gosh,
this is good.
They're listening to your rules.
They are. Listen, I want to tell you, good job, guys. You did a great job there.
Great job, all of you.
They do listen, Pete.
Okay, Boone, what do you got? Boone, you got the closing argument, Boone. What do you got?
Luke's not tough.
Luke is not tough. That is not a clear statement. Luke is very tough. I can
Not
attest
very
to that.
nice, Pete.
My goodness. All right, guys. I love you all. We'll see you soon. You can play some video games.
They are mini Pete's.
We restrict video games, but okay, guys, you can play for a little bit
Pete
until I get home.
Hegseth's in the making right there.
Oh, boy.
Watch out, America.
right.
You guys want to come babysit?
Oh,
They got that
$10
list
an
right.
hour.
I love that.
all right. Well, you guys are going to go enjoy some nice grilling outside. It's Father's Day. I'm going to take the headlines.
Okay, Steak it is.
Go ahead. All right, I do want to bring you some headlines we are following this morning. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau calling and offering support for the U.S. ambassador to Canada after she received a death threat, according to Bloomberg News. A letter along with white powder was mailed to Kelly Craft at the U.S. Embassy. The substance was determined to be safe. The threats coming after a public spat between Trudeau and President Trump over tariffs at the G7 summit. Also, this Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe jumping in on the Kim Jong-un bandwagon. Abe now wants his own summit with the North Korean dictator just days after President Trump's meeting in Singapore. Abe likely would address North Korea's kidnapping of Japanese citizens and how to pay for potential denuclearization. A meeting between the two could happen in Pyongyang as early as August, so stay tuned. And let's do prison time for 5 years, please. This 7-time Jeopardy winner now facing that sentence after pleading guilty to hacking.
School through 400, please.
This term for elementary school sounds like a good place to learn the rules of word usage. Stephanie.
What is a grammar school?
Good.
A school for 600, please.
That is Stephanie Yaz admitting to breaking into student and staff emails at Michigan's Adrian College. She then shared some of the content with a coworker. The fired history professor will be sentenced next month. Yikes. All right, let's go outside. The boys have been waiting to eat meat all morning long. Rick, how does it smell out there?
Oh my gosh,
Oh,
it smells good.
fantastic.
It's because Billy Oliva is here from Delmonico's. What says Father's Day better than barbecuing delicious food? And today we're serving up a twist with Billy from Delmonico's.
That's exactly
Surf
right.
and turf.
To honor Father's Day, executive chef and father himself, new dad.
Correct.
Billy Oliva, who do we got? You got
That's
your
my sous chef Connor right there.
Connor, what's up, buddy?
He's
Hey, buddy.
almost a year.
He's 11 months, almost a
You
year.
know, I remember our segment last year on Father's Day, and you were super excited about being a new
he
father.
was coming, yeah.
There he is.
Connor, what's
I love
your
it.
favorite thing the dad cooks?
Oh.
He said swordfish, right?
What do you got for us?
So
today?
we have a bacon wrapped swordfish. While I'm talking, I'm gonna do this. So we have a swordfish loin that we have some bacon already laid out. And real cool thing about this, we're gonna wrap it and we're gonna cook it right in the foil.
How many pieces of bacon is it?
So for this one, it's a lot.
200?
Yeah.
This is a big. And you can
try this?
You
I
can
can't say I've
definitely
had
try
swordfish
this.
recently.
So, another thing we have over here is they're called nudies, naked raviolis. I had a tradition with my dad. We always used to like to go look for raviolis all over the Bronx, all over Manhattan. Super simple
I don't want to
recipe.
make ravioli, but
That's
this is easy.
This is so easy to make. And so Delmonico's, we're known for traditions. You know, we started a bunch of
You
traditions.
invented the Delmonico steak.
We did. We invented Delmonico steak, which we even have one here. Hold on. We have another one here.
Hey, Billy, can you talk about this nudie?
So yeah, the nudie, it's Parmesan cheese, it's ricotta cheese.
Oh.
You mix it with some herbs, salt and pepper. Semolina flour goes on a tray. You cover it in semolina flour, wrap it up, stick it in your refrigerator for 2 days. Come back, boiling salted water. The easiest ravioli you could ever make. Great to make with your kids.
If you come to New York City, if you do not go to Delmonico's, you have failed.
That's the
I'm telling you, I've been there. It's amazing.
You gotta go to.
And that's why we're going to throw this back to you, Abby, and Billy's going to cut that steak for these fathers standing right here.
Well deserved. Thanks, guys. All right, coming up on the show, the Trump economy is winning so much that it can't be denied.
If by 2020 we have GDP growth near 4%, we've got a market like this, we've got record low unemployment. How do you not reelect this guy?
So will more people start to have this attitude? We are going to discuss that next. And a soldier inspired by this music video to reconnect with his dad. And it turns out that singer was his mentor and math instructor at West Point. It's an incredible story about soldiers, service, and of course, Father's Day. It is one you do not want to miss. Stick with us.
Now I find my old man. Feel the callus on his hands and dusty overalls. My old man. Now I finally understand. I have a lot to learn from my old man.
A truly inspiring story last year as one soldier was fighting for our country in Afghanistan. He happened to hear that song, My Old Man, originally performed by the Zac Brown Band. It made him think about his family, his 2 kids, and his wife back home in the States, and his dad, who he hadn't seen in a while. It inspired him to connect with his father. He would also reach out to the vocalist who you see in that recreation, who happened to be his mentor and math instructor at West Point. Here now, Major Paul Lushenko and Colonel Doug how do I do it?
McIngvale.
McIngvale. I don't want to butcher it, Colonel. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time this morning, both of you.
Absolutely.
Thank you both for your service. You were most recently in Afghanistan serving our country. How did you see this video, and why did it affect you so much?
Well, Pete, I've known Colonel Mack for 15 years. I was initially a student in his math course in 2003. I find myself deployed 15 years later to Afghanistan and checked social media, which is atypical given the operations tempo, and saw the songs first struck by the talent that Colonel Mack had, and second, the message of this song, which I think at its core is about sacrifice, mentorship, and love.
And you decided, hey, it makes me want to reconnect with my dad.
Yeah, I first sent a note to Colonel Mack to thank him for the song, and then second sent a note to my father as well, and really kind of bridge the gap between two men in my life that had meant so much in terms of values, based education.
Absolutely. Colonel, to be a part of a song like that, what does this all mean to you?
Tremendous. It would not have been possible, certainly without the support of the artist, Zach Brown, and his team, and then the West Point Band. Thought this opportunity to tell the message about love and leadership, which is a lot about what fatherhood is. It's a message in our nation to come, that we need more than ever about love and leadership in our families.
But such a personal connection. Did you expect something like this to resonate with one of your former students, a major deployed in Afghanistan?
Paul was one of my favorite students, and for him to connect with me, I was impressed that it was from downrange, and to reconnect us again has been fabulous.
Absolutely.
And what was really interesting about it, Pete, was not only was there an email, but I had gone back up to West Point following the rotation for an event, and made a point of stopping by his office and just explaining how much it meant to me, and also to a lot of other soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines who are deployed, who are fathers in harm's way.
Talk to us about that. Being a father on Father's Day, downrange, overseas, what's that like?
Well, our experiences are no different from a vast majority, and you know this having served yourself. American soldiers who deploy and miss holidays, birthdays, and anniversaries. But I think for me, this song resonated at a tough time in the deployment because it spoke to sacrifice, and that we were serving towards a brighter future, a more secure future for our children.
Absolutely, Colonel. The message of the song, the message of fatherhood, it's passing it to the next generation.
It is about passing it along. There's mentors in my life. I think back to my sponsor, Jim Day, as a cadet, or KK Chen or John Campbell, and throughout my career. And I look at them, and as a mentor, to be considered one for Paul is just humbling. And I think about my ultimate mentor, my father, who's actually out of the country now, but my sister, who is a missionary in Honduras today. And so it's great to be here on Father's Day to celebrate him.
No doubt our fathers absolutely shape who we are. Major, sometimes I got to shake hands at the end of the segment because we got the right guests at the right time. Appreciate you both being here this morning. Absolutely. Thank you for your service to our great country. All right, well, moving on. We can't do better than this, but we'll try. Congressman Bob Goodlatte's immigration bill set for a vote this week. Will the president sign it? The chairman with us here live next hour to talk about it. And stunning news out of Europe this morning, where Germany's leader, Angela Merkel, could lose power any day now because of her open border policy. We're going to talk about that with Sebastian Gorka next hour. Don't leave us.
Feel the callus on his hands and dusty overalls, my old man. Now I finally
You're the attorney whose family